You're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's Reveler Sports.
4 seconds left. In front. Happy moment. The Tampa Bay Lightning have won the first Stanley Cup. And the Tampa Bay Lightning have won the Stanley Cup. Lightning strikes twice. The Tampa Bay Lightning win their second straight Stanley Cup.
Welcome into RBLR Lightning. My name is Chris. Where the weather has warmed up a little bit, and we get ready to approach All-Star Weekend here. I am joined by my man, Mr. Jake Ricker. Jake, how are you doing this evening?
I'm doing well, Chris. Looking forward to the All-Star game we got coming up. Lots of fun things coming up this month of February. This is going to be a fun time for Lightning hockey, despite having some big breaks in the schedule here.
Yes, and before we get into, the hockey show that we're about to give you guys, there is obviously some sad news coming out of Tampa. The GOAT, Tom Brady himself, has decided to call it quits. And, man, what a pleasure it's been to watch this guy in the league. I respected him a ton when he was on New England. Of course, I hate the Patriots, but, man, how could you not respect a guy like Brady? Just knows how to win. What a tremendous leader. On and off the field, I've heard nothing but good things about him from the locker room. So I'm really glad he was even able to come here and play for the Bucs, because if you would have told me this 10 years ago, I would be laughing in your face thinking, yeah, Brady's going to lead the Bucs to their first ever Super Bowl in their own stadium and win. So, so it's just a wild time. He would definitely be missed, man. I remember, when Brady first came into the league, I was like, who's this guy? Tom Brady, the Patriots getting bad for a while, but man, he proved everybody wrong. Nothing but respect for the GOAT. So, Jake, I'm sure you got a few good words here you want to say about Mr. Tom Brady.
Well, yeah, of course, it was awesome for him to come to the Bucs and help bring another championship here into Tampa Bay. That was awesome time for the city. It's something, we are all huge Tampa fans, Team Tampa Bay. So glad the Bucs got to be a little part of history and having Tom Brady play for them. It's like you said, nobody would have ever thought that was a possibility a few years ago. So, that guy just knew how to win. He knew how. It's 7 Super Bowls, which is just unbelievable. And so shout out to him. Good for him for retiring. He gets to spend more time with his family, and wish him the best.
Yeah, and we, actually, John Cooper had a few words to say about, Brady today, which I thought was pretty cool, because it goes back into, how we are all one Tampa. We're one team, we're one city. So I think it was pretty cool that Cooper had some good words for about Brady, and I thought that was pretty cool. So anything did you want to add on Cooper speaking on Brady, Jake?
It was pretty cool. Cooper jumping in there, like you said, it's Team Tampa Bay, and the Lightning and the Bucs and the Rays. They always shout out each other when they're going into playoffs or having their season start. So it just really shows you how much this city has evolved, if you will, over the years and really become a sports town. I don't think this is something you would have seen years ago, but now that these teams have all become a focus point of each of their respective leagues, it's really cool to see them all working together as one, and Cooper commenting on one of the best to ever play the game. And hopefully when the day comes that some of our guys leave and Cooper leaves the game, and hopefully that's a long time away, but we see some of the Bucs guys comment on them and for their great accomplishments that they've made in the NHL.
Yeah, maybe Cooper's working his way into getting Gronk on the ice. That would be cool if Gronk was on the ice. We could get a guy like Gronk out there to maybe play goalie for us.
He was talking to Colton about doing the Gronk spike at the Stadium Series game coming up. So I'm just saying, maybe we can get Gronk out there in Nashville to do some Gronk spikes.
Yeah, and all jokes aside, it would be really funny to see Gronk out there playing some hockey for the Bolts. But, it just goes to show, how much respect this city has gotten. And we have become Tampa Bay now. We are Tampa Bay. So I'm upset that Brady's leaving, but hats off to him, man. He's nothing but an all-star player. So as we move on to some more hockey stuff, Cooch is out of COVID protocol, which is some good news. As we record here on this Tuesday, though, he will not be able to be playing for us tonight. He's still ruled out. So definitely a bummer there, but it could also be maybe some extra time off for Cooch. He's just coming back off the surgery, and he's been playing well. So I'm not too mad. We have, after this game against San Jose, we have some extra time off. So could just be making sure Cooch is ready to go. But he was on the ice today, so it's good to have him back from protocol. So, Jake, how are you feeling about Cooch, not being in the lineup tonight?
Well, like you said, it's good to see him back skating on the ice, meaning he's out of COVID protocol. And you kind of nailed it there with that. It's probably a smart move to just keep him. It sounds like he's kind of at a 98%, if you will, for his health. And the Lightning are going to have a week off coming up here after the game that's taking place tonight as of this recording. And you want to get him back to 100% and ready to go for the second half of the season, really, as we just passed that halfway mark. So I think it's the right call here for the Bolts, and I'm glad to see that they're, taking it slow and making sure he doesn't re-aggravate anything that he's got going on. We don't know the details of all the injuries and stuff like that, so not a big deal. Obviously, it stinks to have him out for another game, but with the All-Star break coming up right here, it's good to get him some rest.
Yeah, and definitely rest is much needed right now with this really tight schedule we have coming up in February. There's going to be a lot of close games, a lot of back-to-backs, playing some good teams. So I think February is going to be a tough month for the team overall. So I'm perfectly fine whether Cooch is ready to come back tonight or not, giving him that extra time off, making sure he's 100%, come playoff time. That to me is the most important. And missing a regular season game where we've been able to win without him, I think we should be fine. So in some other news, Chernak, I believe is still, I believe I saw 6 to 8 games away from being back. I don't know if that was just an estimated timetable. I'm going to assume it has something to do with his foot and that block shot he took, maybe a break, something along those lines. But I'm really hoping that Chernak can come back and just be healthy, man. I really want to see this team be 100% together and be able to play a full game together. So, Jake, have you missed Chernak since he's been gone? Do you think it's really noticeable out there? Or do you think the Bolts have done a pretty good job being able to fill his void as he's been on and off the injury list this season?
Oh, I absolutely miss him. I think you could definitely tell a difference when Chernak is not on the ice. I think we've started to realize, this year and maybe for the last couple of years, how important he is to this D-line crew. But again, we got a couple of big breaks coming up here, so hopefully he'll be able to be back soon, and he won't miss too many more games, but he's had a real tough time with injuries this year, and he's been taken down a couple of times, just out there blocking shots and putting his body out on the line. So Chernak has definitely become one of the better defensemen on this team behind, the top guys of Hedman and McDonough, maybe even Sergachev too, but it's right now you just want to get him healthy and get him back to 100%, and hopefully these long breaks coming up will get him there, because we could definitely use him back, and as he makes our defense that much better. I think you would see a pretty decent dish. Don't get me wrong, Schuster, Foote, all those guys have done well this season at jumping in there, but also just to have an extra body there, the Lightning have had how many defensemen get hurt this year? I mean, still right. No Bogosian, no Cernak, Ruda's still out, I believe, as well. So to get him back would be huge for the Lightning, to have that extra body, so they don't have another one of those situations where they're only playing with 4 defensemen. And Cernak, listen, is better than, guys like Schuster or somebody like that. No disrespect to Andre Schuster, who's still been really good for the Lightning this year, but hopefully he can get healthy soon.
Yeah, and it's hard to really fill in for a guy like Chernak. He's really surprised me the past couple of years. He's come on to be a great defensive player for this team, and like I said, him and McDonough have really tore it up together on that line. So I'm hoping, like you said, with this extra time off, that we can get him back and get this lineup back to 100%. Man, let's get the full boys on the ice and see what kind of damage we can do. The second half of the season. So. It is February, so the trade deadline is approaching. It's that time of the year where some moves are going to be made. In my opinion, I do not think that the Lightning will make any moves as far as big name splashes. I don't know. The cap space situation. I know it's going to be a little tight for the boys. I don't think that we necessarily need to make any moves. I wouldn't be mad if we made some, but like you said, you talked about depth. I think depth is the most important thing for this team right now with injuries going on. So, Jake, did you have any news for us as far as trades go?
Well, to speak towards a trade deadline, as you mentioned coming up here, I would be shocked if the Lightning made any big name moves at all because they have no cap space. That is how it's been for the last couple of years, how it will be coming up here. And if they were to make a big splash, some other big name would have to be on his way out as well, which I don't see happening because everybody's playing really well so far this season. The Lightning have been playing well. These guys have been stepping up in big ways, so there's no reason to make a big trade like that. However, we have already seen a couple of minor trades happen, which is something I do expect the Lightning to do, and kind of building that depth like we talked about. We're missing a lot of right-handed defensemen. Could really use some more of those guys. So that's something to keep your eye on and see if it takes place. However, though, we have had 2 trades take place today as of this recording, which was honestly kind of surprising. It came out of nowhere because, again, we're not expecting the Lightning to make too many trades. But one of them, Chris, that just happened, the Lightning traded center center Anthony Richard for the Nashville Predators in exchange for center Jimmy Huntington. 2 minor league guys, Richardson, 5'10", 186 pounds, skated in 31 games so far for the Nashville Predators minor league team in the AHL. He's had 7 goals, 12 points, and he's appeared in 322 career AHL games. 79 goals, 152 points in his career. So, not bad stats. He's been a veteran AHL guy, if you will. And these kind of trades usually don't turn into anything, but sometimes you kind of hope that maybe a change of scenery for both these guys can bring some new life to them for both of them in both these organizations.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think it's going to be nothing but really small trades, here and there. I just don't think the Lightning can afford to do anything else with our salary cap. So, honestly, I don't even think we really need to make any moves. Even if we could, I'm okay with the team we have. I really don't like messing with chemistry in different lines. So I'm perfectly fine with the team we have. Obviously we were top of the NHL for a little bit there, but I just don't see any moves being made, especially with the salary cap, like you said. So before we get into these games, we have played 2 games. We have played the Devils and the Vegas Golden Knights. All-Star Weekend is coming up. I always enjoy the skills competition in All-Star Weekend.
Before you jump into All-Star Weekend too, we did have one other trade that just recently happened too that we should quickly mention. It was another minor trade. This one, the Lightning sent. I'm going to try to pronounce his name right. I'm not going to, but it was Alexi Lippinov, who the Lightning drafted in the 3rd round, 76th overall, and they picked up the left winger Ty Belbear, I believe is how you pronounce it. So again, I apologize if I butchered those names. But again, same thing. I won't go into too much detail about it. Same thing as the other trade we just talked about. Very minor trades, 2 minor league guys. The Lightning weren't really seeing the development they wanted from Lippinov, and they're moving him in hopes that the change of scenery for both these guys can get a little spark underneath them. And who knows, maybe they will make an impact in the NHL in the future, but right now it's just AHL minor league transactions.
So we're hoping for the best, man. Never know these small guys. It could happen. Never know. Could be one of those random guys you trade for. Next thing you know, he's starting on the team in a couple years and having a 30-goal season. So that's probably far away from ever happening. But those are the current trades that the Lightning have made so far today. So with the All-Star game approaching, I really enjoy the NHL All-Star game. I think it's my favorite out of all the All-Star games, all the sports, all the Pro Bowls and all that stuff. The skills competition to me, I think, is awesome. I enjoy the fastest skater. They have, the save streak, which I'm assuming Vasi will be in, hardest shot, breakaway challenge, accuracy shooting. So I just enjoy, the guys having fun on the ice. You can tell everyone's out there to have a good time. It's in Vegas. I'm sure the scenery is going to be awesome there. I'm sure they're going to have some really cool stuff set up. I think it's going to be really well put on, especially, like I said, being out there in Vegas. It is Vegas, so I would expect some big, fireworks and some explosions going on, and I'm sure everyone's going to have a good time there. And then obviously with the All-Star game on Saturday, they'll do the 3-on-3 tournament, which, I think is cool. I do watch it. I'm not crazy into it as much as I am the skills competition.
Better than the old games were.
Yes, no, it is. It's definitely more interesting. It definitely draws you in, gives you, you give it the attention it needs. But how are you feeling about the All-Star weekend, Jake? You looking forward to the skills competition?
Absolutely. I've always loved skills competition. I personally always enjoy the All-Star games. I know some people aren't huge fans of them, like you said, and we were saying the games can be a little boring sometimes, but I'm being cautiously optimistic here, but it seems like the NHL is doing something big here in Vegas for this one. You talked about scenery. They're supposed to be having a fountain face-off competition where guys are going to be shooting pucks at targets in front of the Bellagio fountains, apparently. I don't know how that's all going to work, but it looks awesome. I cannot wait to see that set up. Supposedly they're also going to have some kind of card game set up on Las Vegas Boulevard, which is really, really cool. So they are supposedly going all out, which you should when in Vegas. So I am looking forward to the skills competition. I'm also really excited about the breakaway challenge because that's something they haven't had since 2016. And I know everybody loved the Anything Goes breakaway challenge, which they had numbers of years ago, and this isn't the same thing, but from what I'm reading and what I understand, it seems like it's going to be similar this year to the Anything Goes challenge, because there's going to be judges judging these guys' shots, and they can the normal shootout rules are thrown out the window. So I'm hoping some guys bring back some props and do some funky stuff while in Vegas, and we kind of get that Anything Goes breakaway challenge back.
Yeah, and I'm sure we're going to see some wild stuff, especially being in Vegas. And like they say, man, it happens in Vegas, stays in Vegas. So I can only hope for the best from these guys on TV. I think they'll have a good time. And the NHL always does a fantastic job at putting on really good shows. So I think the whole weekend itself is going to be a good weekend. I'm definitely looking forward to being able to watch some of the Lightning out there, man. We always have a couple guys that are able to go, and we joked about the whole team could really be out there if we wanted to, but in all seriousness, I think the guys will go out there, have a good time. Let's just hope no one gets hurt or nothing crazy happens, and we're able to watch the Lightning. Put some goals in net, and Vasi gets some saves. So we did have a couple games. Only 2 games, unfortunately. That's the way things are going right now. But we had played the Devils, and we have played the Vegas Knights. And in this Devils game, we talked about, we can't overlook teams. And it was a really close game. Lightning were able to come away with a 3-2 victory. But the game was a lot closer than I think people thought it would be. It was a little closer than I wanted it to be, but I just had that feeling that sometimes we overlook teams like this, and the Devils goalie came to play because, man, he stood on his head. He made some crazy saves. I really feel like the Bolts could have had maybe 6, even 7 goals, but he really did his job and held them in this game and kept New Jersey, a 1-score game, and they were in it until the end, man. They really were. We were able to get on the board with Cirelli had a goal. Joseph, we talked about Joseph. What are the odds that, we end that podcast talking about Joseph and he's shorthanded, and boom, what does he do? He puts a shorty in the back of the net finally. So I think we broke the Joseph curse talking about it. So that was pretty cool to be able to see Joseph finally bury a shorthanded goal. And it was a great shot from him. Like I said, he's played really well this year. He's filled in, he's learned a lot, and I'm happy that Joseph's up on this team right now. I'm impressed with him so far this season. I think he's really filled in really well and played well. So, Jake, was there anything you saw specifically in this game? Like I said, I know New Jersey's goalie really stood on his head for them in this one.
Yeah, well, you kind of nailed it on the head when you said the Lightning sometimes overlook teams like this, although I know coming into this game, they were saying that they had a bad taste in their mouth in the last time they lost to the Devils earlier in the season, so they wanted to come out and play strong. But credit to their goaltender. He played really well in this game and made some big saves. But hey, the Lightning nickname this year has been the Tampa Bay Findaways, and that's kind of what they did again in this game. They found a way to come away with it at the end of the game and come away with those 2 points. So not much to complain about. It wasn't the prettiest win, but they got the job done at the end of the day.
Yeah, and they were, we only had one power play in this game, and we were able to score in it. So that's at least a positive note. The way the power play has kind of been hit or miss, and we talked about that 0-for-7 performance against Anaheim. At least the power play was able to get on the board in this game. And I do want to take a moment right here to talk about a guy that's been really hot as of lately, and he didn't score in this game, but Ross Colton, man, he's really come on, and that was one of the guys that I thought this year was going to have a really, really big year for us. And he started off really slow, but man, he's come on hot as of late. It seems like he's really found his groove. He's taking some really smart shots, great shots for him. He's really settling in on that line. He's 7th on the team now with 9 goals. So he's almost in double digits already, halfway through the season. So Jake, have you seen anything different from Ross Colton as to why he's all of a sudden just really playing at a high level lately?
It's a good question. You're right. He got off to that slow start this season. I think a lot of that maybe also had something to do with, he had a lot of new line mates. He was playing on the kid line, as they're calling it, this year with Taylor Radish and Boris Kachuk. And that line changes a lot because sometimes one of those guys wasn't in the lineup. So I think you're seeing Colton trying to adapt to his new line in different lines when there were some lineup changes due to injuries and stuff like that. I think that's the major thing. I think he's starting to get acclimated with his new role in the Lightning this year, and it's great to see him getting hot right now because he's been playing extremely, extremely well. This is the Colton that we expected when we signed him to that 2-year extension.
Yeah, and I just wanted to give a shout out to him real quick. He's played really well, and the Lightning were able to come away with this victory against the Devils 3-2 and get 2 points, which obviously is the most important thing. So now Saturday night's game against Vegas. Let me tell you what, man, this is one of the best hockey games in the regular season I think I've ever watched. To me, it felt like a Stanley Cup final, Game 7. Man, the crowd was pumped. Man, it was Gasparilla Saturday. It was just, man, the Tampa fans were live, and unfortunately, we weren't able to come away with a victory in this one. But we had plenty of chances. I think the Lightning played a little slow to start this game, and then we finally came out firing away in the third. But we had plenty of chances. Stamkos had plenty of chances early on. It just seemed like he was hitting the post and missing nets, and that's kind of how the game started. From what I saw, it was just missed opportunities, and I really think we could have come away with a win in this one. But Vegas was able to pull away 3-2 in a shootout. Bassey gave up some goals in the shootout, which normally you don't see him give up too many, but he gave them up at the wrong time. So. But overall, I think the Lightning played well in the second half of this game. It was a slow start, but we still had chances. So that's the most important thing. You want to take the positive, from a loss and move on from it. But we were able to get on the scoreboard in this game with goals from Colton, who we just talked about. Corey Perry, again, able to get on the scoreboard. So your star players couldn't really do much, but like I said, Stamkos had quite a few shots. He just couldn't find the back of the net in this game. Don't know, maybe he's tired, maybe he's feeling a little bit. Just wasn't his best game in my opinion. But hats off to Vegas. They played us really well. Like I said, this game was a really, really fun game to watch. The Lightning were almost able to come back at the end. But Jake, how did you feel about this game, man? I was really pumped watching this one on TV.
Yeah, you're right. The Lightning tend to have some pretty entertaining games against the Golden Knights a lot. It'd be a great Stanley Cup final matchup. Hopefully we get to see one day. But if you would have told me that the Lightning were going to get 1 point at the end of the second period in this game, I would have been shocked. So despite losing the game in the shootout, the Lightning played extremely well in the third period. They did not look good at all in those first 2 periods. And the fact that, again, they're able to find a way to tie that game and ultimately get a point in overtime is huge for them. Every point counts in the regular season, especially when your ultimate goal is to make the playoffs, and for the Lightning actually try to finish above the Florida Panthers because the Panthers are so good at home. I think that's going to be important for the Lightning this year. But to come away with a point from a game that really wasn't looking good at all when you were down 2-0 heading into the final 20 minutes, that's huge. And they almost did come away with the win too a couple of times, but Vegas just ultimately able to beat them in the shootout. So it was a close game. They came back in the third, and the fact they came away with the point is all you can ask for.
Now, one thing that was a bummer about this, and we talked about the power play, was obviously 0 for 3 on the power play isn't going to help you at all. If we were able to capitalize on those opportunities, of course, we would have probably came away with a victory, but power play just once again couldn't get it done. We're still sitting in the middle of the pack at 15, so I think we're slowly climbing there, but to me, the consistency just isn't there yet. I think if we're getting those chances, man, we have a really talented roster, and we got to figure out a way to. I think the Lightning we just need to get more shots on net. We try to look for that perfect pass sometimes, and it's not there. I will say that I think I've seen more shots from the blue line this year, though. So I think they're starting to get guys like Hedman, Sergachev, Ruda trying to take those shots in the blue line, create traffic in front of net, like Killorn do his job in front of the net, and I just think the power play just isn't there yet. But I mean, I'm not too upset at it because we're sitting in the middle of the pack, but I just think it could be better. And we've talked about injuries and guys being out, so I'm hoping when the our full team comes back, we'll see that power play move up. But there was one thing in this game that I did want to point out, and that was in the shootout. My question is why are you going with Pat Maroon out there instead of a guy like I would have even given it to Cirelli. I would have maybe even had Sergachev go out there. I just don't think Pat Maroon was the right call to go out there for a penalty shot. Maybe Cooper knew something we didn't know, but Jake, do you have any insight as to why Pat Maroon was out there for the shootout?
No, yeah, that's a coach's discretion kind of thing, and normally you'll see guys go out there that are having better games. When you're having a really good game, you usually are the one that's more likely to get a chance on the shootout. And also those guys, they practice shootouts all the time in practice. Maybe there was something that Maroon was able to do in practice that impressed the coaches, which is why he was able to be given that chance there in the shootout. So maybe there's some advanced analytics that they were looking at too. Maybe Pat Maroon scored a lot against Vegas before. I don't know the exact reasoning, but normally it usually is just because if you're having a good game, you get the chance to try and get a shot in the shootout. This one also went pretty long as well, so I think things start to kind of just all go out the window at that point when these shootouts go for so long. And the other thing you could argue too is that Lightning have so many guys. Look at Steven Stamkos, Hedman, Point, Kucherov. Those guys are. Kucherov wasn't in this game, but they are fast-paced. Quick moves, skillful moves kind of guys to put the puck in the back of the net. A guy like Pat Maroon is a big change of pace to that. Think of it like, you throw 6 fastballs down the middle on a batter, and then Pat Maroon comes in and he's the changeup, right? Totally throw off the pace of the goaltender. Maybe that's what Cooper was thinking. I don't know. That's just a guess for me. But, ultimately, unfortunately, didn't work out for the Lightning. But, hey, if Maroon goes out there and scores, we're calling Cooper a genius.
Yeah, I like it, man. Because if it's me, I'm definitely not having Pat Maroon go out there, especially if I'm, playing NHL 22 online. I don't think I'm gonna have Pat Maroon in my shootout lineup. But hey, man, that's virtual coaching. It's just something funny to talk about. I was just curious as to your opinion on why you thought maybe he went with that. But I mean, you make a good point. Maybe he was having the hot hand. You're getting late in the rounds. Maybe Cooper was just like, well, go up there, Maroon, and do your best. So I just thought that was an interesting topic in the game. But,
Maroon did have an assist in that game as well. So if you look at it from that perspective, so maybe he thought, he was the better player. But it is an interesting decision. That's something I would love to ask Cooper one day if I ever got the chances. That's going to be my one question, right? You see him down the street. Hey, so why did you put Pat Maroon in the shootout against Vegas?
That would be really funny, man. But in all seriousness, the Lightning were able to come away with 3 points in these 2 games. Obviously, I wish we had more games to talk about, but we do have a crammed February coming up. So we were able to come away with 3 points out of 4. You can't be mad at that. And we were really a shootout goal away from beating the Knights. Like you said, we really turned it on there in the third, and we were able to rally back. And that goes a long way, man. Rallying like that, showing that the Bolts, when they're down 2-0 or they're having a bad game, they have the talent to come back. They can come back. The Lightning can do this. So that's really good heading forward and going into playoffs. That's a really good sign because, as we know, beating the Lightning is really hard to do come playoff time. So these teams are really going to have to buckle down, hold their leads if they want to beat the back-to-back champions. So really quickly, man, obviously we're heading into the All-Star break for the Lightning after tonight's game against San Jose. Just taking a look around the league really quickly, man, there is some crazy win streaks going on around the league right now. I'm pretty sure not only has Colorado won 10 games in a row, I think they've won 18 in a row on home ice, if I'm not mistaken, might be 17. So looking at this Colorado game we have against them coming up, that's going to be something very interesting if they're able to hold on to that. Obviously, that's the first game back against Colorado next Thursday, so that's something to really look into. That could be a really interesting game if they're still holding on to that record. Carolina's on a 4-game win streak. You got the Maple Leafs are making a push, man. 4-game win streak for them. They're up to third. They're right behind us. It's really starting to get down to, like I said, these top 4 teams in the division that you can tell it's really going to come down to come the end of the season. So I think Detroit's still kind of hanging around a little bit. I don't think they'll be there come playoff time. I think it will be Boston with that 4th and final team in. But, and then obviously you got teams like the Hurricane, the Rangers, the Pens, the Capitals. There's a lot of good hockey being played right now compared to when we talked last week. So some teams are starting to get hot. Other teams are like the Canadians, who are sitting at 8-29 on a 6-game losing streak. So things could be worse, man. We could be the Canadians. So, Jake, is there anything from around the league that you see that's intriguing that you wanted to talk about?
You got the Florida Panthers, too, who, they are a fun team to watch right now. Who every time they win a game, it feels like they're winning it 10-0, 7-0. They're just dominating some of these teams. They have a huge goal differential of plus 58, which I believe is the best in the league. Colorado just right behind them too at plus 55. So there are some really good teams this year. There's no question that the Lightning, they're the defending back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, but it is not going to be an easy path to the Stanley Cup. Once again, looking at some of these teams around the league, but none of that matters. These win streaks don't matter if you cannot get hot heading into the postseason, because if you lose your next 4 starting in the playoffs, you're done and you're going home. So, it'll be interesting to see how these teams fare in the playoffs. But I'm excited for that game against Colorado, like you mentioned, coming up. That's going to be a lot of fun. It's always better for the league when you have a lot of these fun teams going head to head too, because it makes for some entertaining hockey.
Yeah, especially with that Vegas game on Saturday. Like I said, for a mid-season game, the atmosphere there was electric. So we do have a game tonight as we record here on Tuesday against the Sharks. So we have one more game before the break. And the Sharks are currently on a 2-game losing streak. They're sitting at 22-20. That Pacific Division's kind of bouncing around, so they're still hanging around a playoff spot. So I would expect I know last time we went to San Jose and we absolutely crushed them, so I'm sure they're going to remember that. So I would expect a tough game from the Sharks tonight. I think it's going to be a little closer scoring. I just don't see us beating them 7-1 again. But I do expect the Lightning to come out and play hard before the break. They probably got the break on their mind too. So we obviously want to go into this break on the winning side, so we can try to get these 2 points tonight. So is there anything with the Sharks, Jake, that you have to say, or is there anything we should be watching out for in tonight's final game before the All-Star break?
It's like you said before when we talked about the Devils game. Don't overlook these guys.
Right.
We beat them 7-1 last time, but you got to be fully prepared and ready to go. So I fully expect the Lightning to do that, though. They're one of the best teams in the National Hockey League. On paper, you expect them to win this game pretty handily, but we'll see how everything plays out. And the other big thing is please don't get hurt. We've had enough injuries to deal with. But again, the good news is we are going into the long break here, a couple of games, another long break. So this is the time for the Lightning to get healthy. And that's the biggest thing right now, because you want to be healthy heading into that, that second half, or especially right near the postseason, which will be here before you know it. And also, we want guys to be healthy for the Stadium Series that we got coming up this month, which I am so stoked about. So hopefully everybody can stay healthy and be ready to go for that game.
Yeah, and it's really a bummer looking at this schedule, thinking, man, we play San Jose tonight as we record here on Tuesday, and it's like, man, we don't have another game until next Thursday, the 10th, against Colorado. So that is a pretty big stretch of no Lightning hockey. So I know I'm going to be sad. Football season's pretty much come to an end here for us. There's not much else on TV, so I'm definitely going to be fiending for some sports next week when the Lightning are able to come back. But we do have the All-Star game this weekend to fill in the void a little bit and get some entertainment going on, as we talked about earlier. So I think that's pretty much all I had for the show tonight. It's kind of a bummer only really having 2 games to recap, but we'll have a crammed February coming up where we're going to have tons of hockey to talk about, as the Bolts will be playing a lot of back-to-backs, a lot of big games. So I think getting through this February has to be the focus after this All-Star break. It's going to be a tough stretch. It's going to really test the boys. We've played a lot of hockey in the past 2 years, making a deep run, back-to-back cups. These guys, they're going to be feeling it at some point, even though it doesn't seem like it, because guys like Hedman are skating miles and miles out there every night, just don't seem to really get tired. So I think right now, like you said, it's got to be stay healthy. That's got to be the main focus, and enjoy the break, enjoy the time off, but come back ready against Colorado and be focused. And let's head strong into the playoffs, man. Headstrong. I love first in the division. Like I said, I don't believe in the curses, so I want to keep winning, and keep being able to talk positive things about our Lightning. So just want to give a shout out to the followers, listeners, man. You guys are awesome. You can follow us on all social media platforms at RBLR Sports, Instagram, Spotify, Stitch, YouTube, Facebook, you name it. We are there. We're trying to give you guys the best content we can. If there's anything you guys want to hear or want us to talk about, please let us know. We will feel free to do that for you. Obviously I think the Bolts can get a victory here against San Jose. We can head into the break on a win streak and just get ready for Colorado next Thursday. So I think that's all I had for the night, man. Jake, I'm going to give you the final word, man. Go ahead and take us home.
The Lightning are playing some good hockey. I'm super excited for the All-Star break coming up here. We got the Stadium Series right around the corner. A lot of fun things this month. And then after February, it is hitting the grind with a couple of crazy months coming up. So looking forward to talking with you about it all, and excited to see how this season finishes. Go Bolts!
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.